Sorry guys, you don't really want to see me, you want to see the Rockets. My name is Jason Wampler, and this is another episode of the Rocket Minute. I'd like to say hi to all my friends out there. Hey, how's it going? This ugly mass of brown-shirted mass of rocket scientist, designer, engineer named Jason Wampler. You know, I found new and exciting ways to create a studio, and there's a cheap way to do everything. One thing I have is I have the most stubborn plague of boogers in my nose that won't let, for lack of a better word, excuse themselves from my life. My 3/4 inch grinder needs to be resuscitated and or repaired. I stuck a tool in there to keep the broken switch on. Broke one of the, I'm pretty sure I broke one of the brush magnets. So I've got to replace it somehow, some way. So I'll take this thing apart tonight. But I'm not going to do that on the Rocket Minute's time or dime. I was able to manage to get pieces cut for another project. This is the next project. I want you to see this because its layout is going to be such as this. It's going to have a unique layout. It is going to be a twin. I just realized something. Hold on. My cat's laying on us. My cats are fighting a batch of fleas right now, and it is somewhat distressing. It's going to look similar to this. I don't know if you can see that, and everything's taped together. And it's going to have your reusable motors to come out the bottom. Oh, you know what? I already have those silly things. What am I worried about? Yeah, I think I'm going to use these guys. These guys are going to substitute in here like this. However, you know what? I'm thinking to myself, as much as I'd like to use these guys, I might end up getting stranded using a couple of the big fellas. These guys right here. So, the options are exciting, to say at the very least. Let's see what else I got going on here. That isn't absolutely lethal. No, I'm not going to use these little silver claws. So, anyway, so we're going to work on building these particular hairy, scary guys. This fella here. You know what? Now that I think about it, I cut these for absolutely no reason whatsoever. I am cheating on this one, and I'll tell you why. This is the main fuselage. This particular wasp abdomen twin engine rocket, this is a metal piece. I got this from a little $2 grabber that was broken. I presented it to the cashier, and she just gave it to me without charging me for it. At 99-cent store up on Orange Thorpe in Fullerton, just up the street from where I live, where I'm broadcasting from right now. And you know, folks, I'm not telling you to compromise your dignity, but if you see something on the side of the road, like a working, gigantic craft paper shipping tube that seems to be in okay order, pull over to the side of the road and pick it up. If you see sheets of mylar plastic that you can cut and use for fins or bulkheads, if there's any rings, pull over to the side of the road and pick it up. It may look like crap. Just go home, clean it off with some dishwashing detergent, a little warm water, and a scrub pad. Wipe it down and just dry it off with a regular terry cloth towel, and then start cutting it up. Get the tools to cut it up. Cut it to shape or cut it in a little manageable sizes so you can store easy, and start building up your storehouse of spare parts so that next time you go to the rocket launch, you may have a couple of rockets to launch, so if one fails, you have something to learn from if it fails, and you have something else to learn from on the other one that still flies, and you have something to fly. Because I push so hard and move so fast with regards to rocket technology, and I have to tell myself to slow down because my reach is always exceeding my grasp, and that is me signing my own confession. I tend to build rockets that are so experimental they're untested. So I'll go to a launch meet with 4 rockets or even 5 rockets, and I'll come back with 1.5, and a couple of flights that were a little bit less than goofy. I had one rocket corkscrew off the pad, shot sideways, flopped around on the ground, and almost burned up the non-existent grass. And that was shameful. But it was mostly sad. You know, folks, if you put a lot of effort and energy into something and it doesn't work out the way you planned, yeah, it's not going to be fun. It's going to be on the depressing side. So what I'm going to stick to is airframe designs that are basic. Then once I'm finished assembling them, I'm going to feature them on either Amazon, Mercari, OfferUp, Amazon, Mercari, or OfferUp. I'm having a bit of a struggle with Amazon right now. Amazon, for whatever reason, they're very, very, very finicky about security measures. Amazon is the premier online seller and buyer platform for people like you and me who just want to buy, who just want to sell their stuff, be an online retailer without get your own URL, Seller Central tools, sort of like eBay. Um, Amazon is much more ethical than eBay. I think eBay operates the way they operate. They're right now they're not so much coming under fire, but a lot of people owe them money for seller fees, and frankly, I don't think eBay is as upfront and honest or not honest but transparent as they need to be about their seller fees. I generated with them about $125 worth of seller fees, and I think I only sold like $20 or $30 worth of product. But what really got me about eBay is the fact that and I've told this story before, they wanted me to pay for shipping and ship the product out to the buyer before, not after, before I got paid for the product and reimbursed for the shipping. And shipping for the item would have been around $30. And at the time, the item actually would have been more because the item was larger. At the time, I remember that item kind of piecemealed my budget early on in the month. I'd end up spending well over $100 to put it together. It was a specialized launch controller for the model rockets. I still have yet to break into that market or create a need for one, but of course, the type of person I am, I keep trying until I realize that maybe there's something else that I could do that's a little better. And that's the type of person I am, but you know, $30, $40 for shipping out of my own pocket, plus I'm sending a product to someone on the other side of the country on the East Coast, and I'm paying $40 to ship it. So I'm out $140 on the promise that somehow, some way, eventually I'm gonna get paid $30 for it, minus the seller fees, minus the listing fees, minus the sales tax. And I have to upfront $140 for that product. I understand you have to spend money to make money. I understand businesses starting out, they do have to spend money to get the customers and to get the exposure. But I'm just not willing to do that anymore. I've been through several discussions on customer service with eBay, and they're just not budging. Evidently, they don't. I guess they don't need customers that badly. I will badmouth them right now and say I simply will not do business with them. My other bad experience is with Home Depot. Home Depot on Harbor Boulevard, on the corner of Harbor Boulevard and Sunflower. Excuse me, on Harbor Boulevard, near the corner of Harbor Boulevard and MacArthur, on the border of Santa Ana and Costa Mesa, right next to Kaiser Permanente. Not a hospital, but a healthcare clinic, which is my hospital. Kaiser Permanente is wonderful, but somebody somewhere just is not thinking clearly, and I seem to be. I don't know. I've explained to Home Depot before, and in the past I've tried to reason with them. Look, I'm just shooting a video. I'm out in the middle of the parking lot. I'm cleaning up after myself. I'm not disturbing anything. I mean, it's a hardware store. How in the world can I get a noise complaint in a hardware store in an industrial area of town? Big, wide open, beat up parking lot. Santa Ana, it's just kind of a shanty town to begin with. I don't really like Santa Ana at all. It's a dangerous place for a 53-year-old white male to be. So the police, they profile white people in Santa Ana, and I don't care what anybody says or sees me doing. But on that note, I do welcome any and all comments. Use as much profanity as you want to describe your thoughts and opinions and feelings. Um, I just try to stay out of Santa Ana altogether. It's just, I've had several unpleasant experiences and run-ins with the police. They just don't like, they just don't like certain groups or types of people, male, my age, my particular skin color. They profile their races. It's a predominantly Hispanic city, um, and I got to tell you that just isn't the America that I know. We're a melting pot. We're not small pockets of xenophobes fighting against each other and saying down with the power. By the way, I oppose fascism in any form. I oppose racism in any form. So I don't really care to be the subject or the object of racism either. It's not fun. But anyway, getting back to the story with Home Depot, so the Santa Ana police patrol car came out and it just parked in a way that it was obvious that the police officer, the patrol officer, and that Ford Explorer was studying me. He didn't drive up to me. He didn't approach me and ask me what I was doing. But at the behest of Home Depot, which obviously the council of the city of Santa Ana love Home Depot because it brings revenue into their cities. So they pressured the police department to come out and take a look. Well, the police officer didn't approach me and didn't confront me, didn't say anything. But I felt that because he'd been there for about 20 minutes, just kind of parked there with his engine running, kind of looking at me without flashing the lights, I felt, well, I guess it's my signal to hit skedaddle out of there and just not come back. I've told managers of Home Depot on several occasions, again, this, in addition to my surrounding environments, the fact, even though I'm using one of their tables, I'm not damaging it. I'm not damaging the beat up Little Tijuana parking lot. I'm not creating a hazard to any drivers. I'm not disturbing the peace in any way, shape, or form. I'm making a mess or using dangerous chemicals. I'm just cutting, fitting, and fabricating. I don't know what the reasoning is, but I kept telling him, look, if I need something, of course, of assembling this project, I need to go into your store and purchase. That's why I come here. I like the handy tables that you have too. I don't like the middle wheel. Those things irritate me. I can work with that. Well, they decided to call the police to settle the affair, and that's fine. It's not necessarily a property, but they rent it, but it is their store, and they have the authority to do that. And I have the right to make the decision to boycott, just not do business with Home Depot. Now, anybody and everybody who's watching this video, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and please, please, please leave as many colorful comments as you want. Engage with some repartee, evoke responses and replies. I really need to get the Rocket Minute off the ground. I don't know how to define the channel. I'm going to do some research on that. Contact Google. I'm an above the board individual. I'm a college dropout. I will say that. I need to go back to school for my MBA, at least a master's or PhD in mechanical engineering. Apply that towards rocket science. Every once in a while, I get lonely. I don't have a wife or girlfriend just yet. I have a girlfriend or wife just yet. Mark Twain said it best: inventors and designers have very little, if any, have no time for the notion of love, romance, and marriage. And he was right. Samuel Clemens' pseudonym was Mark Twain. Real smart fella, and real wry and humble. Didn't think too much of himself, but of course had a strong impact on American culture. Anyway, that's my story. I don't have any vices. I don't have any ties to any other groups. I definitely don't do business with or communicate with. I just don't do any business with other countries or other people. I won't sell internationally. I don't sell my rockets internationally, even to allied countries that are allied to this country. Because overseas, you just don't know who you're selling to. And I want to be careful about that. I am somewhat adept at what I do, but what's interesting is I find every time I'm looking for Wi-Fi in my house, wherever I've lived in the last 10 years, wherever I've lived, since I've been formally rekindling my fire for building rockets, I have noticed I've lived in Santa Ana twice. I've lived in Huntington Beach. Didn't touch me there. I lived in Santa Ana twice. I lived in Costa Mesa, and now I'm in Fullerton. I've been in Fullerton for almost a year and 2 months. Actually, Fullerton is kind of growing on me. It's got its ups and downs, but it's a decent city. You just like Costa Mesa or any other city, it has its ups and downs. It has its own character. It is inland and puts me far away from my family and friends in Costa Mesa. But you know, the interesting thing is when I go perusing for Wi-Fi networks in my office, which is also my bedroom, this part of the one-bedroom apartment that I'm renting, it's interesting. I scroll down, I see something called FBI surveillance van, and that's all they call it. They can't call it anything else, but that occurs right now. That is occurring right now in the location I'm in right now. So maybe I myself or somebody else is under surveillance by the FBI. However, it's too much of a coincidence because the second time I lived in Santa Ana, there was an FBI surveillance van on the list of available Wi-Fi hotspots from my bedroom/office. The first time I lived in Costa Mesa in nearly 15 years on Joanne, again, there was an FBI surveillance van on the selection of Wi-Fi locations. And of course, it was locked. I wouldn't even think about hacking the FBI. It's dangerous, it's stupid, and it's a felony. It's against the law. I'm a patriot and a U.S. citizen. I love this country. I don't worship it, and I respect the government. And I pay my taxes. When I generate an income, it's taxable. I haven't in the last couple of years because of COVID-19 and my health, my disabilities. So here I am, and then the first time I lived in Santa Ana, there was again the FBI surveillance van on the list of available Wi-Fi hotspots. When I was in, first time in Santa Ana, Costa Mesa, Santa Ana again, and now Fullerton, all four of those times, I could look at a list of available Wi-Fi hotspots. And in all situations, coincidentally enough, there's the FBI surveillance van. So, my belief is that I am somehow, some way under FBI surveillance. The FBI is Federal Bureau of Investigation. I have to tell you, I appreciate the FBI's effort in keeping an eye on me. Frankly, I'm not necessarily so much a person of interest as I am someone who may be in need of protection from time to time. It's nice to know that, and looking at this positively, that somebody somewhere might actually be looking out for me besides the God I pray to. So that's really nice. It's comforting. I have nothing to hide. I am behind on my taxes. I do have a felony on my record, and that's vehicle theft because I executed a lien sale illegally, and that's a long story that I won't get into. But that's that. That's where I am. So anyway, let's get started on this project. And we have these two motors. However, I want to look at the spare parts I have and make a determination as to exactly how I'm going to mount these bad boys. And look at that. Probably like that. In fact, I guess I'm going to have to do that. You know what that means? That means I'm going to have to use the fairly big motors without the ends. Okay. Well, that's how it goes. Well, this is going to be a quick rocket. Okay, so the rocket is not going to end up being as small as I originally assumed it would be. Let me get out one more of these pieces, one that I sanded down. And as mentioned earlier, unfortunately my 3/4 inch grinder did take a nosedive, so I'm somewhat upset about that. With all things being equal and they're not. You know what? I might have actually retired those individual pieces. Shoot. Well, shucks. I only have one of these, and I didn't turn it. I think what happened is I turned them in because I thought I would need them. Let me see what else I have. No, I have that. I have that. Okay. Well, that does give me an idea. But then again, this thing can be all metallic. Okay. Well, You know what, guys? Now I have myself a fairly dangerous idea. And I'm actually encouraging people to do something that is, as per the rules of NAR and Tripoli, going to get you disqualified, get your rocket disqualified, and that is the use of metal parts in your particular airframe. So I'm still kind of figuring this out, right now as I'm kind of talking out loud. Shucks. Well, this is a conundrum indeed. Let me figure this out. Give me just a second to work this out in my head, because I'm thinking I can come up with some kind of solution if I really concentrate. And I think that I already have. So it involves I have to go out to the car, for lack of a better word. First of all, I know one thing for a fact, but I really blew it up. I'm gonna pull this off. Oh, that's right. It came out of one of the motors. And that gives you another idea. Oh my word. I think I know what I can do. You know what, folks? For now, I think I'm actually go out to the trash can. Hopefully the rockets haven't been picked up or dumped just yet. I can cannibalize one of the rockets I threw out in the trash and get another one of these. I can use these and sand them down. I have to go out that way to get the belt sander, sand these down, install these in here, and tape it up this neck here, and go ahead and run these small silver fellows here like that, and here like that, up flush against, of course, the main fuselage. And okay, this is one of the other thing is I want to select the rocket motor housing. Yeah, that works better with that. Those are both the same length. Let me get the other two. These guys are out there. These are motor housings themselves, but they're almost 25 millimeters. That's anodized 1/8 wall T6061 aluminum. That's either 1/8 or 1/16. No, it's just 1/8 because double that wall thickness would be 1/4. I'm almost positive. T6061. That's heat treated or extruded. Not necessarily rolled, but extruded, seamless. I want to look in here to verify what I'm saying is true. Yeah, this stuff is seamless, extruded, T6061, 1/8 wall, or possibly even 3/16 wall, which is 1/16 over 1/8. It's a little bit thicker, or it could be 3/32, which is 1/32. Up under 4/32, which is 2/16, which is 1/8. So it possibly, so I'm thinking a little bit thinner than 1/8. So it's possibly could be 3/32 wall T6061, extruded, seamless, anodized, and heat treated. And I'll tell you why I think that. Number one, this aluminum is heavy. It's abnormally heavy. It's not light aluminum, it's heavy aluminum. This isn't the stuff that manufacturers bother to use to make wheelchairs, or walkers or crutches for injured or sick or elderly. This is really good high grade stuff. I'm not sure what the practical application is for, but it's impractical application. I'm using these tubes from Industrial Metal Supply, like the one in Anton off of Red Hill, in Irvine, between Newport Beach, Irvine, and Newport Beach and Tustin. And those guys are great, by the way. Check them out, Industrial Metal Supply online. Also, as mentioned before, check out Lowe's Hardware and Harbor Freight. Home Depot, I'm gonna recommend that you kind of stay away from them at the time, for the time until you may be able to work things out with them, which I suspect, and or because of their moods, they will be unwilling to do so. You know what? I just realized something. I just realized where I got this from. I got this from one of these, and the two that I'm going to use are not this one. So let's see what we can do. Okay, so here we're going to actually start to work. I'm cannibalizing this motor assembly in an attempt to facilitate. Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me see if this even makes sense. I don't know. This may not. Hold on, guys. This may not work. No, this is not going to work. Forget it. Bad idea. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do is purchase another one of these tomorrow at Lowe's Hardware for about 78 cents. Lowe's Hardware closes at 8 p.m. on Sundays, and I believe Saturday at 9 p.m. Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. I believe. At least the Lowe's Hardware on Lemon Street behind the Walmart, adjacent, or actually behind the Walmart, which is on the corner of the that nice drive-through restaurant that I forget the name of, Orangethorpe and Lemon, one street up, one street south from Harbor Boulevard. Check them out. They're nice people. Stay away from the self-serve checkout stands and try to get a real cashier. It'll save you about 30 minutes. No complaint. Anyway, okay, so here we go. So I talk a lot, but here's what I'm going to do. The first thing I'm going to do, I am going to sand these down because I do want, another reason why I need to get the belt sander. I'm going to sand these down, and I'm going to install them to where they're halfway up the middle of this tube. Oh boy, you know what? And I just noticed something. I can't do that because this aluminum tubing is too wide. Let's check the true round. You know what, guys? I'm doing a lot of talking. The problem is, I'm not really doing any building. You can tell I jumped into a twin-engine rocket just to add a little variety to my act. They're still safe, but the problem I have is the motors will fit like the 24mm F27s that Aerotech makes. They're awesome when you can get them to light. The problem is the notch. They're a notch burner, not a moon or core burner type motor. Those notch burners, when you put the little tiger tail igniters or the Aerotech supplied igniters in them, they generate so much barometric differential that once the igniter lights up, it simply blows itself out of the motor instead of staying put and igniting the solid fuel. So you can go through probably about 2-engine rocket like this would go through about four fuses before the third set of 2 fuses actually ignites the motor. And Andy Woerner, of all people, was the president of Diego, or maybe still is for all I know, Diego Area Rocket Team in Plaster City, San Diego. He's also in charge of Plaster Blaster, not balls, Plaster Blaster. I call Andy Woerner the Plaster Master of Plaster Blaster, Master Disaster at Plaster Blaster, because something exciting always goes on. It's really exciting. Okay, so something always happens at Plaster Blaster. Somebody's truck pillar gets taken out by a J-powered rocket, or parachute fails to open up and it rains down hybrid, M1000 motored V2 rockets. Something flies sideways over the parking lot and ends up chasing somebody out in the middle of the highway. Stuff like that. It's always a really exciting event. Andy Woerner, he's like me. He's crazy and he pushes the limit. So I really like the guy. I used to have a picture of what my dad took when I got my level 1 certification through Andy Woerner as a member of EEE, the Diego Area Rocket Team, chapter down in Plaster City, San Diego, North County. Okay, so here we go. Practically speaking, these are not going to take it up the tailpipe. No, I'm not going to do that. I kind of wish these motor housings were a little bit shorter, but you know what? Let's just kind of visualize where I'm going to place these, because I do want these flush with the wasp abdomen, and so I'm doing this. I'm kind of measuring that and visualizing that, and guess what I'm going to do? Before I even think about using any glue, I forgot to bring a marker. I'm going to go ahead and break out the old faithful. I still have rolls and rolls of this stuff, and it will suit just fine. these motor housings, I want to, again, and then this is why I want the removable motor housings to be flush with this tube right here. This tube is also going to double as the launch conduit, the launch rod conduit. Maybe a launch rod rocket. So we're going to just put these there formally and put that like that right there. I need some type of scribe, so I'll just kind of nick it right there. I need something a little better than that. I need a file or something. All my equipment, my tools are in the car. I have no idea. I haven't had the opportunity. Well, I don't have the time since I got kicked off of Home Depot's parking lot, and the weather's been so hot. I've got that 1750 power inverter. I spent like 4 hours on it, converting it and putting special releasable connectors on it, and I haven't used it yet. I've used it a couple times. I used it the one time I got kicked out of the Home Depot parking lot in Santa Ana. So anyway, okay, so the bottom edge here. So we're going to take a non-liberal straight piece. Actually, use very little bit. I'm going to cut it even too. You want to watch aesthetics on this one. I'm almost tempted to cut this this double-sided tape. $2 a roll from Harbor Freight. This stuff is stronger than anything 3M makes. I'm not discouraging purchase of all 3M products. I would discourage the use of any of their outdoor or clear experimental type tape. Experimental being they're not done experimenting with their consumer patients. 3M is outrageously priced, although they're getting the hang of that too. They're understanding like everybody else, we're not made of money. So we're going to start that. We're going to leave about a 1/8 inch thickness from the end of the tube. I know you're kind of far away, but I'm hoping you can see this. Run this tape along the down the length, and just visualize. Even now, see, I just did it already. See, I'm talking, not paying attention to what I'm doing, and I not wearing my glasses because I can't see with them. Apparently, I can't see without them. You place the tape down, place it on both the opposite ends of the tube. Press it down in the middle, run it down the middle, and then run it down the sides, like so. And then when you go to cut it, use a box knife. This is $2. It's perfectly good quality. $2, no replacement blade internally though, from Harbor Freight. And again, I very, very, very highly recommend Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight has gotten a little bit more expensive, but their tools no longer break like they used to about 10 years ago. 10 years ago, you get a tool from Harbor Freight, you get it for a deal. You get a $20 drill from Harbor Freight. It lasts you 6 months. Hard to use 6 months. Go back and buy another one, same thing, fail in 6 months. So within 1 year, you spent $40 for 2 drills. If you double that, you spend $80 for a basic Ryobi or Milwaukee. Actually, Milwaukee will spend about $120. But Milwaukee is, if you get a Milwaukee drill, and you're like my age, 53, well, the Milwaukee, you might as well put it in your will, and it'll inherit all the riches because it'll last longer than you will. I rebuilt a Milwaukee drill, a high torque, low rev, low RPM Milwaukee drill, the kind that you could use for plumbing attachments and snakes. I mean, this thing has a lot of torque. I went through and I rebuilt it. It took a couple of days, and I had to really clean it up. But it'd been thrown in the trash because it wouldn't turn on. I replaced the brushes, I replaced the cord and the connector. I went through and I cleaned and lubricated the transmission, everything. It uses real metal gears for the transmission, 3 times reduced. Not once, not twice. Oh, excuse me, no, 2 times reduced. Reduced once, reduced the second time for that lower RPM and that extra added torque. And it has a real electrical motor in it with real metal housing, and it has wiring that's actually short and groomed short enough to actually fit. That drill was built as intelligently as it was designed to be serviceable. I replaced the brushes because it came with a pair of brushes inside the removable handle. The brushes fit in the housing that you can actually remove from the side and the back of the drill. Wow, nobody does that. There's a reason why Milwaukee tools are, in my opinion, the very best tools, not just in America or Germany or Japan, certainly not China or Israel or anywhere else. You can get Stawilly, Molly makes more products. You get Stawilly You can get Ryobi, you can get Makita. Makita, they're okay, but they all die the same way. Um, but I'm impressed with Milwaukee. You get anything from Milwaukee, and basically they don't have to guarantee it for life. You don't even have to take care of the tool. It'll just keep going forever. Milwaukee, I've had two Milwaukee tools. I had the half-inch impact Milwaukee that was corded. It was sold to me for $70 by a former client, for a client that's of the old business, and I'll tell you the same thing now that I'm saying about the high torque, low speed drill that I have right now. That it's going to be put up for sale either on OfferUp or Mercari tomorrow, or even Amazon if I can get things straightened out by tomorrow. And I got to tell you that I made a mistake, and then I corrected it on the drill because I didn't put a rubberized bushing in. But no, Milwaukee, I can't recommend them enough. Everything Milwaukee makes will literally last forever, and they're really, really smartly designed. They're like Cummins makes engines. They make diesel engines for Dodge trucks. Everything Cummins does is very, very, very well thought out, and logical and straightforward. It's the same with Milwaukee. You pay $120 for a drill. That drill basically lasts longer than you will. I mean, if you plan on living to the age of 125 and doing carpentry or plumbing, you'll still have the same Milwaukee drill. I'm not kidding, man. So they're worth the money. Harbor Freight does not commit the sin of selling cheap products any longer. Unfortunately, that is also driving up their prices of their individual tools to the point where you can't really get anything bargain basement cheap from Harbor Freight like you used to, but that's okay. You really do. I honestly, folks, you really do get what you pay for. And I refer to the time when I was working for a guy named Scott Faka, and I guess one thing led to another, and I said, I'll pay you off. I'll cut my rates in half to $25 an hour. I said, no, you're dragging your foot. I'll pay you $10 an hour or nothing. And he said, you need me. I don't need you. Well, I mean, the day after that, I stopped working for him. But he only wanted to pay me $10 an hour. And he was griping that I wasn't worth that. And I was helping him with a very, very, very lopsided project, coyote swap in a year 2000 Ford Mustang. Came with a 4.6, so I could have tuned the hell out of. But he wanted to put a truck coyote in it, change the intake cams, change the phasers, change the oil pan, change the computer. It was an electrical nightmare. And I guarantee that vehicle is not running. But he wanted to pay me $10 an hour to do it towards the end because he said I was taking too long. And this guy calls himself an engineer, which is laughable. Now that I think about it, he's not. We parted on sour terms. I tried to contact him to say a friendly hello, see how he's doing. He sent me a picture of somebody's testicles and a dog's ass, and I finally got the point. And Scott, if you're out there and you're watching this, leave a nasty comment. I'd like to know that at least you're still alive. I still consider you, I don't consider you a friend, but I do kind of worry about you from time to time. But anyway, the reason I'm bringing that subject up is that you really do get what you pay for. If you're willing to pay the extra bucks, save up your money and invest in Milwaukee tools. Ryobi is, the honest to goodness truth is, I think some American company made the unwise determination that people have confidence in tools that have Asian last names. I don't know why. Ryobi does not sound Chinese, it sounds Japanese, and a lot of people, they feel that was the winning ticket. Well, I'm here to tell you it is not. Ryobis are subpar, but they work. They're not the best tools in the world, but they work. They don't necessarily break. Makitas, I don't know what's happened to them, but those tools end up burning up. And literally they go down like an aircraft is shot down, fall to the ground, they make a really loud whining noise, they start to smoke, they catch on fire, you drop them down because the tool gets hot when they're in their death throes. And it's happened more than once. So Makita tools have a lifespan. They look good, they are Japanese, I do appreciate that, but they're the Mitsubishi of Japanese tools. Mitsubishi Car Company has no business in the car business to begin with. And I tried to warn them about that in so many pleasant terms. But you know what? Those arrogant assholes, they just weren't having it. I'm still an automotive engineer, but I'm going to stand in front of a different crowd next time I pitch my services. Okay, so what I did is I cut the section of double-sided tape down in half. Folks, I know this does look complicated and it's a protracted, drawn-out video. I know I'm really dry. I don't have a whole lot of showmanship. Um, my idols are, Bob Newhart, um, let's see, Leslie Nielsen, people who are toned down and controlled. I do like Robin Williams, but I'm a Bob Newhart type of guy. I think I might have a stage presence someday, but when it comes to rockets and instruction, I am not, and I repeat, not that animated because this takes a lot of concentration. This particular effort, it requires a certain amount of discipline to manipulate double-sided tape and to use it as a construction material. It will take some practice, but this video is actually for people who have a talent, an innate talent and passion. You may have a talent, but if you don't like it, you're not going to do it. This video is for people who have a talent and passion building their own rockets, and that's what it's all about. We're not like we're establishing an exclusive club, but if you don't like what you're doing, you're not happy about it. I frankly, I don't really want to be around you. I don't think anybody does either. People want to be around people who are happy. People equate happiness to success. They just don't know it. Okay, so again, we're going down the middle of this. I want to show you how I did this. You want to eyeball the space between the top of the tube and the top of the tape. This is where craftsmanship comes in. This is where practice takes place. Never press the tape down on the sides first because it'll arch in the middle and the top, and it'll bubble and it'll misshape. And you try to press it down, it's not going to work. You're trying to violate the laws of physics. Double-sided tape, roughly 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch from the top of the tube. Then run your fingers down the middle. Keep your hands clean too. I went through the process of fabricating the parts for this 2-engine rocket. I did that this afternoon. Frankly, you don't have to see my face. I want you to hear me as I'm talking. I am an online instructor. I do need my master's degree. I think I can push for getting my bachelor's and master's degree in industrial design engineering. I already have about 35 to 40 units in that particular engineering discipline, but I'd also like to get my MBA. I have standards too. But once I have my master's in industrial design engineering, then I can, with a clear conscience, at least in the state of California, call myself an educator. And that's what I am. I like to teach people what I like to do as well, so that does kind of set me a little bit ahead of the flock. This is cranberry juice, by the way. 99-cent store from Langer's, about a little more than a quart. It costs $1.29. And I got the ice from 7-Eleven. If you bring your own cup to 7-Eleven and you just let the cashier know, and be honest with them, tell them what you did. Yeah, I just brought this cup in, my own cup, my own drink, I just got some ice. Either they'll charge you 50 cents and let you go on your way, or they'll say that's okay, if they're cool. Some of the 7-Elevens are hard up for cash. They charge you 50 cents for the ice. I understand. Costs money to run an ice machine, pay the electric bill, pay the water bill. I understand. Another thing about myself, I don't drink alcohol, I don't smoke, and I don't do drugs. I take prescription meds for sleep and depression. I have mental depression. I did have mental depression. I inherited genetically, both my parents. And that's more about me. You need to know the person you're dealing with. It's really important to be familiar and honest with my students. Again, remember to hit the like and subscribe button, and please leave a comment. Leave as many comments as you want. Visualize and start down the top, the middle, and just control the direction of the blade itself by running your finger next to the blade on the edge of the tape. Just do this slowly, keeping in mind the fact that if you do this too quickly, you're going to end up cutting into your denims and cutting your leg. I had, a quick struggle. Now I've cut this tape in half for a reason. I know it is kind of a waste of tape, and now that I think about it, I could have used this on the other one for this too. So try not to waste materials, by the way. I know I talk a lot, but I am trying to be a good teacher, and good teachers fail if their students don't learn. The students are not going to learn if things aren't explained to you. Just assuming because you're watching me do something and not asking you questions, which come in the form of comments as questions, I'm not going to know where the audience is, my learners, my students. I'm not going to know what they're inquiring. So I cut this strip of double-sided tape in half. It's hard to see from that distance. Maybe one of these days I'll have $20 to invest in a real standing tripod, something like that in your face. That would be really scary. A lot scarier than exploding a rocket. But I cut this strip to this thickness because of the fact that the body extension, the wasp abdomen, it is so thin. This is the tricky part. I'm not checking for fit of anything. When you're looking at these tubes, there's a little bit of visual art, or visualizing an art form, and determining or making a determination that these are placed correctly. These two tubes, this tube is already placed. So this is good. This tube, the first tube, is going to be a reference point. And what it's going to be a reference point for is if two circles are at equal distances from each other, attached to a smaller circle in the middle, they're basically going to be 180 degrees apart on both sides. If one's at 78, the other side is going to be at 182. It's a matter of addition, subtraction. Geometry is one of the most readily understandable, easiest form of math to assimilate. A lot of people can relate to it. Nobody can relate to trigonometry. They're scratching their heads wondering, are you adding or are you spelling? When you put letters with numbers, why in the world would you do that? My goodness, like putting a loaded gun next to a steak dinner. Speaking of loaded guns, I know a lot of people stress out about math tests, and they'd rather have a loaded gun point in their head than take a math test. And by the way, I don't offer pop quizzes, but I want you people to learn. I want those comments. I want the likes or the dislikes, it doesn't matter. I want the subscribes or the unsubscribes, it doesn't matter. I want to hear from you guys. I want some activity. I want your comments. And comments that I really like are the questions where you're asking me, why in the hell are you doing this sort of thing? I do not qualify to be called a doctor or scientist. I am neither. However, I do enjoy the practice of using my mind in an effort to critically understand the universe around me. I try to be a critical thinker, with the one exception that is important. I draw conclusions from that which I have been thinking about. That's the difference between me and a traditional philosopher. Philosophers in philosophy, from what I understand, they don't want answers, they just want to debate. Sounds like some people I know. Unpleasant folk, no regrets though. I should just move on and stop being their friend. Oh well. Shout out to my friend John Haig, who has the equivalent of a PhD in Greek as it relates to theology. Very, very intelligent man, very spiritual man, attempts to help the community by getting people more familiar with the Bible. I'm a baptized Christian minister myself. I'm trying to set the example. I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses. We have a strong set of personal beliefs, but the thing is about these personal beliefs, there is nothing outside of what the Bible makes a determination in regards to living that we believe in. We believe in anything and everything simply as it comes out of the Bible. So, no, it's not that end we're worried about. It's this one. And you know what? I'm still a little bit off, but that's okay because that's okay. I want these to stick out past the warm slug anyway. That looks good. That's fine. Then we start standardizing these designs, and I start repeating shall I say, the repeating motions, and kind of, there you go, first step. Um, when I start repeating motions, doing things over and over again, because we're building this type of rocket, a single fuselage rocket, which we started on the other day. I want to show you, I want to show you that before the video is over. So we've got this step completed. I do, if I can think out loud and do it without hurting anybody's feelings, gouging their time, I'm not going to glue this just yet. I'm not going to trim this double-sided tape either. We're just going to leave that like that for now. This is one of the main fuselages. Given the fact that the motors are going to be that big, I actually thought I'd be running smaller motors than this. But I had a question about the inner diameter of these smaller motors and their ability to take an extruded fitting, a male or female extruded fitting that would make with the NPT extruded fitting, male or female, that would make with male or female extruded fitting for the motors. And I was thinking these would fit inside these casings like this, and then the motor would come out the bottom there. So I don't really know what I was thinking. I was thinking maybe because this rocket is going to be so small, I'm not going to try this particular method of NPT fittings, male and female screw-on. But as it turns out, the way things evolve, as they do on a project, use bigger parts, make a bigger project, some standard parts, some from old rockets you didn't want to use, some scrap material, yada yada yada. Like I said, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. And so this is what we come up with. And you notice the way I'm kind of backstepping myself right now. I'm making decisions on the fly. And here is the next decision that I'm going to make, which is, in addition to setting this down here on this like that, to minimize the appearance of the center section, which is metal. And technically speaking, you're not supposed to do that. I want to set that like that. And if you guys can hold on for just a second, before I conclude the video, I'm going to get the upper section, which requires leave and come back. Hey guys, where are you two? I'm feeling I had to close the door. We're going to do this. Where are we at? Oh my goodness, it's almost 10 o'clock. Well, the laundromat's making a lot of noise. I have yet to actually machine this, but I made the executive decision. The motor's that big. I'm going to go ahead and put, this is a rough appearance of what it's going to look like. This will be the upper section. I think I'm going to abbreviate a little bit. That's a little bit too tall for my taste. I'll cut probably the upper 5 inches off the top of this tube and clean it up with and just kind of clean it up with my block sanding down there. The one that I repaired, and half the bearings is missing, but it still works. Cheap bearings are always going to kill any type of rotary tool, but except for Milwaukee. Milwaukee's don't do that. I'll just cut it off right here. You know what? I'll just cut it off right there. Oh wait a minute, how am I going to do that? Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that until I get my 3/4 inch grinder fixed. I really don't have anything else to do that with. Okay, but just try and visualize this without this top section here. So it'll be about this long. They'll be joined like that. And then of course, these motors will be sticking out at the bottom like that. That's the overall size. And then I'm going to, of course, add some fins. Center section, coupler, a coupling system, of course, a basic recovery system, which begs the question, how am I going to do that? It has 2 motors. I'm going to have to run air pipes, sealed bulkhead rings, and air pipes from these individual motor tubes that will convey the separation charge from the motors I put in here. The other question is, how am I going to mount and stay the motors in here? Well, the answer is I'm probably just going to use maybe cut a couple slits and use some tension clamps, something fairly basic but aerodynamic, lightweight, and strong. In aerospace, I'm just going to go ahead and get in lecture mode in the last few minutes of today's video or today's class. In aerospace, you have two overriding priorities. Actually, three. Number one, you have to stay within budget. That's the first. Second is you have to stay within the weight. Maximum takeoff weight for any type of aircraft, any type of flying craft has a maximum wet weight or takeoff weight. Number three, any materials you use because of the priority number two, the lightness. The materials have to be light, yet they have to be strong. So it has to be cheap, light, and strong. So that presents a lot of challenges for the average group of engineers and designers, but it brings out the best in people in that they produce very advanced creation of product. Most aircraft these days, if people have the bravery to build a new design aircraft, where aviation research, development, and design is, state-of-the-art aircraft these days they're absolutely magnificent. You can tell that over basically 100 120 years of aviation design, engineering, developing, manufacturing, implementation of military, commercial, and private aircraft, you can tell that the aircraft have become much more refined, state-of-the-art, a lot safer, a lot less mistakes, a lot less lives lost, advances in emissions control, propulsion systems, etc., etc. I myself am currently proposing the U.S. government an effort to sell a hybrid propulsion system for at least one twin-engine commercial aircraft. So if I haven't made too many enemies right now, maybe I could get them to be friends and send me the funds for research and development, give them a working 1/24 scale model. So we'll just see how that goes. I have high hopes, but like I said, we'll just keep working at it. Anyway, that's it. This has been a lot of lecture. I do have personal laundry I have to take care of. It's 10 o'clock. I have to take care of this particular section of the rocket fuselage, and frankly, I don't know how I'm going to do it, given the fact that my 3/4 inch grinder with the cutting wheel is offline until I fix it. So, for now, this is going to be it. And we are at the 57-minute and 32-second mark. Another very long video. I don't mean to test your patience, but I'm thinking these 1 hour the 1 hour combination lecture and lab, it might be the most workable format. 15 to 20 minutes or 30 minutes, it just really isn't enough time. Even if I've prepped and fabricated the materials to show you basic assembly methods, it's just an hour seems to be a little bit better. The other thing is, I don't want you to think that I just build rocket airframes. Eventually, as time permits, as I do sell these airframes online and bring in a little more cash, we're going to film and document some actual real rocket launches. And some of these rockets, of course, I'm going to be in a position to launch. This one is fairly close to completion. I'm very happy with the way this turned out. Some of the material is actually quite heavy, but I have to say this one single engine rocket right here, of course I need to install a nose cone, I need a base anchor with holes, cooling baffle, and figure out a parachute arrangement. I may end up cutting this midsection to make that more feasible, but if I do that, I have to find coupling material, and I don't know how I'm going to do it. That's the biggest challenge. I don't just want a nose cone to pop out the top, because the rest of this long, thin, very impressive, beautiful rocket that's taken on a life of its own may or may not work. You don't want too much weight on that lower shock cord swinging around with just the nose cone at the other end. It's not really practical. So visually, if it doesn't look like it's going to work, folks, guess what? It probably really isn't. Let me show you the other rocket that we have started in lab, at least in my visual lab. This guy right here. Now this proportionally is a little bit shorter and fatter than the other rocket that I just showed you. Excuse me there. But I installed the launch lug. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I still have to, put the guts in both of these. I have to put a launch lug on this guy. Obviously, if it's single motor, it's not going to have a launch lug down the middle center of the main lower fuselage. But I'm really happy with the way this turned out. This is, in my opinion, exquisite. This is actually, this is the evolution of my efforts designing these type of removable motors. Okay, the video is going a little late. I just wanted to show you this. Here we go. This is my studio. I can't believe this. Let me take off these glasses because they are goofy. I can kind of see myself, but I can't see you. If you'll notice, this is a male threaded fitting NPT for like poly mylar or black. I don't know if it's ZBS or just a black poly mylar, sanded down threads, standard aluminum tube. Transition is CA cyanoacrylate glued fiberglass tape we told you about. This is electrical tape, so this is a cheapo high technology. This is the motor tube itself. I'm really happy about how the edge was chamfered. You can see that right there. However, the concept is the other end of this, the receiving end, the female end. I'm not sure I like that term either. Maybe they call female, male and female, like, well, male and female genitalia, but I don't know. Maybe they think about explaining things differently. Innie and outie, perhaps. I don't know if you can see in there. I don't have a flashlight, but there's a female receptacle in there, and that was transitioned with, that was installed in shim transition, the inner diameter of this tube with double-sided tape and the fiberglass tape, which doesn't, I would say fiberglass tape without the epoxy resin. Honest to goodness truth is I'm thinking that a more rubberized version of cyanoacrylate and a good gas mask and like a low VOC rubberized cyanoacrylate super glue, the good working suit, like something made out of Tyvek, and a breathing system, that would actually replace epoxy resin. And I'll tell you why. Epoxy resin is a royal pain in the butt. You have two parts. You have the resin itself, which is almost similar to what do they call it, petroleum distillate based tree sap. The catalyst is a specialized type of chemical that even I don't understand, but it sets in a certain amount of time. The set time is adjusted by chemical engineers. Chemical engineering is something I don't think I ever want to touch. You're a different breed if you're a chemical engineer, and I respect that, but I'm not one of them. So I'm thinking a rubberized version of cyanoacrylate that is low VOC might replace epoxy resin for wrapping and fiberglassing paper body tubes and then putting on a wood lathe and then sanding down and evening the surface. More on that soon. The male end fits in here like that, is receptive to the female end. You have to push this in. However, this shim, obviously, as you can see, you can't see because it's not in front of the camera. This shim right here centers the tube. I think I am going to edit this video down because we're at 100. No. That's fine. We're still at 1 hour and 3 minutes. This shim, obviously this receiver, a male receiver, NPT thread, goes in there. You push that in until it engages the thread and starts walking in the tube. And I had to do calculations and measuring and fitting. Well, yeah, I did. Calculation in my head, measuring and fitting. That's as far as I want to thread it. You're just trying to hold the motor in to keep it from falling out on the launch pad before you ignite it. The upward thrust of the motor against the rocket's fuselage, it's going to keep the motor in anyway. But you don't want to over-tighten it because, frankly, these fittings are made out of very soft material, which is a black-colored polymerized, what do they call it? Some type of nylon plastic, and it's flexible. But because it's so flexible and chewy, you over-tighten it, the stuff, you compress it, expands back out, and it tightens and seals the threaded portion. NPT threads are designed to do that because most of the time they're designed to carry fluid, and fluid leaks if it's not sealed properly. If the conduit's not sealed properly, if it's conveying fluid,
and then these conduit joints aren't sealed properly, it's going to leak. And you don't want plumbing to do that. You don't want irrigation pipes to leak. That defeats the purpose. You don't want to pave roads with potholes. You don't want to build cars with square tires, etc., etc. So anyway, so that this tape centers it in this particular tube, and I like the way it turned out. However, as with all rockets, before we finish either one of these projects, I'm going to have to, I'll add a link where we're going to figure out how in the world we're going to determine center of pressure and center of gravity. Center of gravity is basic. I can almost actually teach that. There's not really any formula. It's just some good old-fashioned horse sense once you've got the entire rocket assembled, which we will do. However, center of pressure is entirely different. It's the balance of the rocket as it's underway in its flight pattern. There's a liftoff, flight, coast, apogee, and then descent and recovery. Those are the main stages of any model rocket flight path. But under power, which is burn duration is anywhere from 3 to 5, sometimes even 10 seconds, depending on how much altitude you want to get out of your rocket, and we'll get to that too. However, when it lifts off the pad, you want the rocket to point straight up in the air. You don't want to do what's called corkscrewing. Well, it will corkscrew. Big rockets have done this too, because the scientists, the designers, and engineers, they fail to do one thing: calculate its center of pressure. The center of pressure is the rocket's dynamic balance throughout its vertical flight, while being thrusted by the expelling of exhaust gases from the rocket motor's nozzle, which is what it's supposed to do. While the rocket motor is thrusting the rocket through the air, the center of pressure is where the balance of that rocket is as it's in that particular dynamic circumstance and that environment as per its particular stage of flight. If you don't get that right, the rocket not only will not fly right, it won't even get off the pad without corkscrewing and crashing. There's no point in spending 20, 30, or even 50 hours on a very, very well-built rocket, plenty of craftsmanship involved, only to find out you failed to calculate the center of pressure, and the rocket doesn't even get off only gets about 5 or 10 feet off the pad, corkscrews, and shoots downward towards the ground at around 90 miles an hour and completely disintegrates and sets some of the environment on fire, metaphorically speaking. It's a very discouraging event. I've been through that. I've been researching materials and airframe designs and long axis structural profile, cutaway profile analysis for about 5 years. And I've determined that you need to have a balance of materials throughout the build of the rocket itself. I'm fortunate enough to have access to these materials through Lowe's, not Home Depot anymore, but through Lowe's. Their plumbing supplies, they use thin-walled PVC. PVC is flexible to a point, but it's also brittle, smaller scale stuff. Now, Lowe's does have one last thin-walled 4-inch section of white PVC pipe that's nearly 10 feet tall. I was tempted to buy it, but I got to be honest with you, I'm already building a 3-inch diameter level 2 rocket that I'm not going to get to until tomorrow. I don't really want to make that part of my video because I'm not really ready. I feel more comfortable with building the 3 rockets I already have. This one is the first rocket. This guy is the second rocket. I've already built it, but it has plenty. I have plenty to do with it to where if I complete it and we run these videos, it'll be instructional as well. And of course, we just started our twin engine rocket projects. So we have 3 projects going on. Maybe I'll alternate between projects. As far as the my level 2 certification, that's personal. If I do anything wrong and I don't get my level 2 certification, it's kind of feel like the long journey to failure. So I'm going to kind of keep out of that one. I do want to show you, however, a few things. When I do fabricate some things tomorrow, I just wanted to show you a couple of things about how that level 2 rocket compares in basic design to this rocket right here, and kind of this rocket here, but not the twin engine rocket. Level 2 rockets require a written test. You pass a written test, I think, with a grade of 90 or above, 90% or above. They also require that you successfully launch and recover a rocket that you built yourself. It can be scratch built or it can be from a kit. Level 2 rocket kits are expensive, but they're tutorial. They're a safe bet for a level 2 certification. I like to always take the high road and the hard way out. So I'm going to be, I'm scratch building my level 2 rocket right now. I'll show you a few fabrication methods, but mostly to get this type of finish out of clear mylar or clear plastic, and to show you how similar it is, again, to this particular rocket. But other than that, I will report on my progress at a level 2 effort. But I'm not gonna put my failure on display. Not this moment. It's not that it waters down confidence in my technical skills so much as it puts a depressing pallor on these videos. These rockets will be successful. We will make them successful. That's the other thing. One last thing, because we're at the 1 hour 10-minute mark. This is the longest video I've ever shot. And it's this. In addition to going to these rocket meets, SCRA, Southern California Rocketry Association, they're based, the captain, the director of that chapter of NAR, National Association of Rocketry. I had my NAR license, but I let it expire. I don't have the card anymore, but I still have a number. I can still get mail. I still get literature from SCRA. A guy's name, I believe, is Darren or Jeff. I think it's Darren. And he lives in Fullerton. I don't know where in Fullerton. I live in Fullerton. I just like to meet up with him and just congregate and talk for a while. SCRA meets at the Santa Fe Dam recreational area, and always between 8 a.m. Between 8 a.m. and 12 noon. And you know what? I just realized something. I have the dates written down. So, folks, if you've had the loving kindness and patience, I shouldn't even say that, just have the patience to watch my boring ass, I'm going to announce to you all those SCRA launches, subject to change depending on certain circumstances, including alien abduction, a sudden election to office as a local politician, and or, how should I say, succumbing to addictions to peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So it's on the last page here. I redid this. You know, I do so much in a day. At the end of the day, I just don't feel like I do that much. Time goes by so quickly and is so precious to us old folks. And I am an old folk. And here we go. Folks, this is where you need pen and paper. That's backwards. My handwriting is not legible either. So I don't know why I did that. Okay, SCRA launch dates. Always 8 a.m. to 12 noon. Santa Fe Dam Recreational Area. Santa Fe Dam Recreational Area. In, I believe, either San Bernardino or Riverside County in state of California, United States, West Coast, etc., etc. These are the dates. April 28th, and that is, in fact, next weekend. I believe, April the 28th. Today is the 23rd. That's 5 days from today. Actually, that might be the one Friday date because it falls on some type of unusual holiday. So that might be next Friday, the 28th, between 8 a.m. and 12 noon at Santa Fe Dam Recreational Area. I may or may not be there. Let's just see how it goes. May the 8th, June the 17th, July the 22nd, August the 5th, August the 26th, September the 9th, October the 21st, November the 4th, December the 2nd. All these dates are always start at 8 a.m. and quit at noon. But after noon, if you want to stay around and help clean everything up, Martin would really appreciate that. I would appreciate that. I plan on donning a couple of picnic tables. Maybe I'll bring one of my experimental launch controllers. It depends on Martin's judgment. So, and again, I think the guy's name is Martin or Darren. Martin or Darren, it's one of the two. A really nice guy, but he's really quiet. He kind of keeps to himself. Again, so let me read those dates from 8 a.m. to 12 noon at Santa Fe Dam Recreational Area. April the 28th, next Friday, May the 8th, June the 17th, July the 22nd, August the 5th. Those are 5 dates. Next 5 dates. August the 26th, September the 9th, October the 21st, November the 4th, December the 2nd. Okay, so remember that. We are now at the 1 hour and 14-minute mark. And I got to tell you, if you guys haven't given up on me now, You're very, very special people. Remember, hit the like, hit the subscribe. I know we've done a lot of talk, but I gotta tell you, information is just as important as technology sometimes. And this place actually looks sterile enough. You might think that I'm a graduate student in a dormitory. Dormitories are very depressing, by the way. I don't like them. My name is Jason Wampler. I'm the host and creator of the show, The Rocket Minute. And we're going to see you again tomorrow. I had a lot of fun. I hope you people did too. I hope you feel the effluence of my enthusiasm. I know it can come across as a dry individual, but for whatever reason, I'm not as lively as I ever think I'm going to be when I'm in front of a camera or instructing other people. Somehow, some way, I go into very, very mature, old white man instructional mode, and not as animated as I'd like to be. I'm very, very controlled. Something about rockets brings out the very, very, very best of me, but also the tamest version of me. I like to be more animated. I'm sorry, but I don't want the show to be dry. So we may include a couple of dolphins, chocolate syrup fountain, wine glasses, maybe some, I don't know, some people maybe juggling koala bears. I don't know. Again, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Please, please, please leave a comment. Bash me. I don't care. Leave a good comment, leave a bad comment. Propose marriage if you're a beautiful woman. Okay. Or offer to sell me, elephant steak, which I will refuse because I love elephants too. Anyway, that's it. I'm not going to drone on. We'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm going to leave a heads up on YouTube tomorrow sometime. I can't be held to times anymore. As far as tomorrow night for a video is concerned, I'm not doing any machining work in front of the camera anymore because I want you to hear what I'm saying as I'm saying it, not yelling over a loud power tool. That's it. Talk to you later.